Welcome to another episode of National Divorce Talk Raw. It's going to be an interesting episode with news I'm sure you have not heard about how the federal Democrats are doing the exact same thing Donald Trump did to get over Roe v. Wade overturned. Yeah, I bet you never heard that. And we're going to point out how the federal Democrats are not a whole lot better than the federal Republicans when it comes to protecting your rights, especially your right over your own body and to have an abortion if you want. We'll get to that in just a second. But first, obviously in studio is CEO, recently elected, half a year ago, CEO Jason Wright of Yes California, editor-in-chief of the Yes California social media sites, technical head of CalExit, longtime CalExit follower since I think 2016, 2017 when we blew up with Trump. And you have been on international television, and you worked in the Bay Area. You got promoted to Bay Area Regional Director from just being a worker. You got promoted to that job, then you got promoted to de facto Vice President, and then finally you made it to CEO top dog. Started from the bottom, made it to the top, just like Drake. So can you. That's why we like Jason around. He showcases the fact that anybody come into the movement and eventually lead it. That's also why we have the CalExit Congress. It's where you get to make leadership for the movement. Anyways, today's show is on National Divorce Talk Raw. We're going to talk about, I'm going to introduce you to the news, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jason. You're going to see how his editor-in-chief mind works. What we're going to show you is that Donald Trump placed federal judges into office who were anti-choice and anti-Roe v. Wade. That's how Roe v. Wade got overturned. A lot of Democrats and a lot of liberals and progressives said that it was horrible that Donald Trump placed people who were anti-choice in federal judgeships. That's why we're here. People hate Trump for doing that, don't like the Republicans, and they know that's why the problem. That is the number one vile action anyone could do. Well, guess what? Joe Biden did the exact same thing. Don't believe me? Sure. This happened 5 days ago. We never even heard a word about it, which whenever that happens, we know the system's trying to hide something because we're always looking at the news. And so when we go, oh, that's really newsworthy. When did that come out? A week ago? We go, oh, they're hiding that artificially. So let me show you the news that the mainstream media doesn't want you to know. Here we go. Email show. White House initially planned to nominate anti-abortion Republican to federal judgeship on the same day the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. I want to point out this is CNN. That's not Fox News. Okay, so don't do that's a Fox News. No, this happened. CNN saying so. The White House informed Kentucky Democratic Governor Andy Beshear's office in late June, the day before the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, that President Joe Biden intended to nominate an anti-abortion Republican as a federal judge in Kentucky. Here's the interesting thing. This governor, Andy Beshear, was saying this was happening. As I understand, Biden was saying that's not true. And then Beshear outed Biden, proved that he was lying by releasing the emails between the governor and the president. That's really unusual. You almost never see that. So Biden was saying, I would never do that. And then it came out Biden was completely lying, and he absolutely did it. And this Democratic governor exposed him and Biden. And what I want to point out is the draft decision on Roe v. Wade was already out. They knew the formal decision was coming. So draft decision's out. They know the formal one's coming. What does Joe Biden decide to do? Nominate another anti-choice federal judge. So right after he learns that anti-choice federal judges are going to overturn Roe v. Wade, he continues to move on a plan to install even more federal anti-choice judges. Yes, that's a fact. Yes, he did it. Yes, he knew what he was doing. Yes, he did it after the draft link opinion. And yes, they're trying to hide this from you because it means they're no better than Trump. Well, guess who didn't criticize him? I'm sorry.
I was just going to point out what we've been saying for some years now.
Yeah.
Trump, a different shade of Biden. also works the other way around.
Biden, a different shade
a
of
different
Trump?
shade of Trump.
What was that? Say that one phrase again. I didn't hear that. What was that?
Biden, a different shade of Trump.
Or what's another way of saying it?
Trump, a different shade of Biden.
Oh,
Yeah, they are completely, wholly interchangeable. That's how bad it is.
remember, Biden kept Latin kids in cages, just like Donald Trump, and did not fix the situation at all. Joe Biden also wanted to keep the refugee cap initiated by Donald Trump. So just so that you know, anyways, he was going to do this. Biden was going to do exactly what Trump did after Roe v. After the leaked decision came out. They knew Roe v. Wade was going to be overturned. They knew how that happened. Biden says, "Well, I'll do more of it," and have a anti-choice Republican nominated to a federal judgeship. Yes, he did that. So stop with the whole maybe he didn't know what he was doing or he was tricked. Nobody's saying that. Biden was lying to the public saying he didn't do this, and the governor straight up called him out and outed him, and it was a Democrat. So no Republicans, no Fox News involved in this. Deal with this reality.
And keep in mind, folks, as President Marcus has just pointed out to us a few seconds ago, them releasing these emails between the president and their own governor is quite unusual.
So
I bring that up because as we go along, I will point out more things that are quite unusual and why this matters.
Now, a lot of people said, hey, you don't need Cal exit because we'll win an election. Californians will get up in there in the federal government and everything will be fixed. So guess who did not criticize Joe Biden for doing this? Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris. And they're both Californians, am I not mistaken?
Not only that, they are the two top California women.
So 2 women from Californians who are in the top 2 positions after the president could not criticize Joe Biden for doing this. So California women representing you could not criticize this guy for nominating another anti-choice federal judge. California women representing you chose to say no criticism about a guy who is going to put more anti-abortion choice people in federal judgeship. That should say everything to you. Oh, you're going to get up there and they're going to make big changes? If you can't even criticize this, what are you going to do?
Well,
right? I thought this was the big issue for Californians, and I thought for women this is an existential issue, not for Harris and Pelosi.
And why wouldn't they call him out? It's not like the Dems are, say kind of cultish like we see with the Republicans and Trump. Or is it?
It's probably also that they're as big as shills as him. So I just wanted to point out California women, powerful positions, can't criticize somebody for making the situation worse on adding more anti-choice Republicans to federal judgeships. Biden did that. That's a fact. They could say nothing. That should say a lot about it. Because I'm hearing women in California are really upset about this. Well, why aren't you going after Harris and Pelosi? They aren't representing you. They couldn't even say anything. I thought now's the time to be fearless and bold and speak truth to power and not tolerate any BS. What's this? What's this? Explain that. Unless you're willing to deal with the fact that we've always said it, yes, California. Californians go work in the federal government. They work for the federal government. They do not work for us. So when we saw this, and we immediately knew Harris and Pelosi didn't say anything, then we confirmed it. And the reason we knew that was because we knew that when they went to the federal government, they don't work for California anymore. They're co-opted and they work for the feds. So we weren't surprised by any of this behavior. That's how we knew it is. And you're probably going to be the only place where you actually see this put together. And that's because we knew they were going to be sellouts when they got there. Let me show you a few more things. So
yeah, show us what they did do instead.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll let Crystal explain it.
Responding as only she could to the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Keep in mind, once again, I mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again. this is a woman who just went to the mat to make sure an anti-choice lawmaker, Henry Cuellar, won by like a couple hundred votes. And now here she.
Oh, I forgot about that. So, in addition to Biden pushing an anti-choice judge, Pelosi personally stepped in to help an anti-choice, anti-abortion person win a race. Yes, that happened. Let me repeat that for you.
Went to the mat to make sure an anti-choice lawmaker, Henry Cuellar, won by like a couple hundred votes. And now here she is, rending her garments, clutching her pearls about the overturning of Roe versus Wade, when she is one of the people in a position of power to actually do something, if she cared to. Her response was classic. You know, this is also the woman who brought out Lin-Manuel Miranda. What was that on the occasion of January 6th? Is that it? That she like brought the show tunes in for that occasion? Well, in response to the overturning of Roe, she had this poem to read.
I am personally overwhelmed by this decision. From time to time, I quote this poem by Ehud Manor. He's an Israeli poet. I met his wife when I've been in Israel. He says, I have no other country, even though my land is burning. Only a word in Hebrew penetrates my veins, my soul, with an aching body and with a hungry heart. Here is my home. I will not be silent, for my country has changed her face. Country has changed her face. I shall not give up on her. I shall remind her and sing into her ears until she opens her eyes. Clearly, we hope that the Supreme Court would open its eyes.
Wow. I really don't care how you feel, Nancy Pelosi, whether you're personally overwhelmed with what poem it makes you think of. I want to know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
I want to know what the plan is. So unless you're talking about that, I really don't want to hear it. And of course, we know what the plan ultimately is, because in concert with the poem, she also sent out a fundraising pitch. We can go ahead and put this up on the screen. Our friends over at the Gravel Institute. Nancy Pelosi just sent out her first email fundraising on the decision overturning Roe versus Wade. And this puppy went out fast, too. They had it queued up, ready to go. I need your immediate attention. We can rise up, meet this once-in-a-generation moment. Can you chip in $15 so we can win these midterms and finally codify reproductive rights into law?
So Crystal wasn't the only woman who was upset. A lot of women were upset. Biden and Pelosi among Democrats who sent fundraising emails right after Roe v. Wade. So they didn't do anything, but they asked you for money. And critics have reacted with anger and mockery. Critics have reacted with anger and mockery after the national Democrats reacted with anger and mockery. Critics sent fundraising emails following the U.S. Supreme Court decision in a landmark case. I saw a video, and I can't find it now, coincidentally, where it was these young women who were pissed. Wow, were they mad at Nancy Pelosi because they thought it was in really poor taste that right after this shock happens, you don't say what you're going to do. You don't start fighting to fix it. You say, give me money. No, Nancy Pelosi did not come up with plans to fight this. No, they did not say what they were going to do. No, they did not say, hey, Democrats got this and will come for fundraising in 6 months after we attack right now. They said, give me money first. And there's video of a lot of young women pissed off and really just disgusted because they're like, this is an existential threat and you seem like a cheap used car salesman. So that's Nancy Pelosi, who also backed an anti-choice candidate after Biden backed an anti-choice federal judgeship. But we're not done. Kamala Harris also was asked, what is she going to do about abortion?
This is how sort of desperate people are. They're like, maybe Kamala would actually do a better job than Joe on this stuff, which, yeah. So she got pressed on something really specific here, which is, when Democrats had supermajorities in the past, specifically under Obama, why didn't you codify Roe? You could have done it then. Obama said it was a top priority at the time, and it didn't happen. So she gets asked, not even really pressed, just literally asked the question about whether that was a failure of Democrats in the past. Let's take a listen to how she handles that.
You don't have to abandon your faith, whatever that might be. To agree, the government should not be making that decision for them. And so that's why I say, let women make those most intimate decisions. Let people make the most intimate decisions that are about what I call heart and home, which includes contraception, which includes same-sex marriage. Let them make that and be free to make those decisions without government influence.
When you look back, did Democrats fail, past Democratic presidents, congressional leaders, to not codify Roe v. Wade over the past 5 decades?
I think that, to be very honest with you, I do believe that we should have rightly believed, but we certainly believe that certain issues are just settled. Certain issues are just settled.
Clearly, we're not.
No, that's right. And that's why I do believe that we are living, sadly, in real unsettled times.
I
So-
do believe that we rightly believe what we
Yeah, so her answer was garbage. She didn't answer the question, and now she's being mocked as an idiot for responding to the Democratic Party's response to abortion, and that's a California woman. We're not done, though.
Well, if I may, real quick, just point out her prepared speech about, the people should be able to make these most intimate decisions. She even has this heart and home. What I like to say, obviously, her campaign staff is like doing a fairly good job at getting her the right wording and messaging. Gotta give them some kudos. They're doing well. Unfortunately for them, she's not able to just keep that up, and that shows when the follow-up question is asked.
It's a hard question.
It
Why?
is.
Why should people vote Democrat, give money to the Democrats, have any faith in the Democratic Party when both Bill Clinton and Barack Obama had the ability, no, that's not debatable, yes, that's a fact, to codify Roe v. Wade? Secondly, Obama campaigned on codifying Roe v. Wade, was elected partly because he made that promise, and then completely walked back on that promise and was not criticized by anybody in the Democratic Party for doing that. And so this reporter is saying, hey, Kamala, you're one of the top Dems. Here's a real question voters have. Why are they going to buy it when you guys said you'd do this and you didn't? And she doesn't answer the question and says something that looks kind of stupid when, frankly, women are scared and they're looking for leadership, and this is what they have.
Yeah, the women looking to one of their fellow women, California women, looking to one of their fellow California women, who is the second highest elected official in the entire country. And that's her response?
Well, I think she saved herself when she did this.
An interview yesterday with Dana Bash. And, I think a lot of Democrats, we talked yesterday about how a lot of the Democratic base is really waking up to just how failed Democrats have been over the past 50 years in preparing for this moment. Or even consider, the Biden administration kind of got a little bit of a head start on this since the draft was leaked. We all knew this was coming. They had quite a bit of time to prepare some kind of a response. And
The Biden administration did prepare a response. Crystal's wrong. Their response was to appoint more anti-abortion federal judges. That's what they did after the draft decision did. And Crystal's going, how come they didn't do anything to fight back? Well, I don't know, but they did make the problem worse. That's a fact, right after the draft came out.
they got nothing. Any idea that anyone puts forward of, hey, let's get rid of the filibuster, let's codify Roe. Hey, how about what about we could put something Elizabeth Warren said, we could put clinics on federal lands? What about these justices that lied during their confirmation hearing? Should we do something about that? One after another, it's just like, oh, we're really upset and give us $15. Are you going to do anything? Yeah, no, not so much. Here's one example of that with Kamala Harris and Dana Bash.
Can the administration expand abortion access or abortion services on federal land, meaning provide the access on federal land that might be in and around states that ban abortion?
I think that what is most important right now is that we ensure that the restrictions that the states are trying to put up that would prohibit a woman from exercising what we still maintain is her right, that we do everything we can to empower women to not only seek but to receive the care where it is available.
Is federal
And that's-
land one of those options?
I mean, it's not right now what we are discussing, but I will say that when I think about what is happening in terms of the states, we have to also recognize, Dana, that we are 130 odd days away from an election, which is going to include Senate races, right? Part of the issue here is that the court has acted, now Congress needs to act. But we, if you count the votes, don't appear to have the votes in the Senate.
Well, what do you think of that, Crystal?
I mean, personally, I think it's an idea that is worth exploring. And, you know, to the broader point, issue on idea after idea after idea, they just say, nah, we can't do that. Nah, we won't do that.
So Kamala Harris is being massively criticized because she's one of the most powerful women in America. This is a existential crisis for women. And Dana Bash is asking her, well, what are you going to do about this? What about this idea? What about that idea? I don't know. What about this idea? I don't know. What about that idea? I don't know. But what I do know is elections are coming up and you should donate. Did you see that? Because other women did. So
And I'd like to point out 138 days.
Oh, wow.
138 days of 365.
yeah, that's a third of a year away. Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
Yet that is only enough time to focus on give us money, keep voting us into office, keep us in power. For what? So you can continue to do nothing while we're all broke, while we're starving? We're supposed to give you more money?
So what you have is a collection of Biden does what Trump does. He's not criticized by Kamala or Pelosi. Pelosi offends all women by appearing to do nothing and grab for money, and she's criticized by women for doing that. We showed you that. Kamala is unable to answer any questions about anything the Democratic Party is going to do. She was also criticized for that. And she was also criticized for just giving gobbledygook word salad answers that don't really explain anything. So both Pelosi has been horrible on this, and Harris has been horrible on this, and they couldn't criticize Biden. And all three of them are Democrats, and two of them are women from California. And so, you know, if California values access to an abortion is valuable to you, you can clearly see where your California representatives did not fight for your values and didn't. So this proves a point we've known for years, that when you send people over there, they're now owned by them. They don't work for you. Do you need a little bit more evidence? Well, I got some for you right here. Whoa, what's that? Gavin Newsom criticizes national Democrats. Where the hell's my party? Gavin Newsom himself, in a rare rebuke, said American Democrats, like Pelosi and Harris, suck and aren't doing anything on Roe v. Wade. He said it. There it is. So it's not just us pointing that out. That's Gavin pointing this out and criticizing fellow Californians for doing nothing. So now we're here. American Democrats won't protect California values. We just showed you how that is a reality when it comes to Roe v. Wade. Many Californians are upset about this decision, and we wanted to point out that your Californians in the federal government are failing and doing nothing for you and actually working against your effort and are offending women across the country. So when you're like, well, we don't need to Cal exit because we can vote and get these people into office. Why? So you can have this awesome performance we just showed you? Because if California was independent, we'd have no debate on if abortion's legal. There'd be no debate at all. There'd be no questions. We would spend no time thinking about this. It would be something the legislature would just codify and they'd announce it in the newspaper. And most people wouldn't even read it because we just expect that to be done. And we're like, yeah, okay, that sounds normal. See, but now we get to have debates on gun violence, and we get to have debates on gerrymandering districts, and we get to have debates on immigration, and we get to have debates on kids in cages, and we get to have debates on refugees, and we get to have debates on Roe v. Wade. These would not be debates if we were on our own at all. You know that. whatever your politics is, you know what this place is. We wouldn't be having debates on this stuff. That's America's stuff. So here we are, total failure of the federal government. What do you got to say? What do you think? Looks good?
Well,
awesome image for Pelosi and Harris?
I think it looks a lot like a bunch of Trump. I mean Biden. I mean Trump. I mean Trumpet. I mean Bump. I can't keep these two separated anymore. They are one in the same, people. The left is the right is the left. They are the two wings on the bird. And guess what? That bird goes around, flies around over our parking lot, over our cars, and covers them in crap. You like being covered in crap? I don't. I think most people don't. Here is the federal bird. I think maybe Benjamin Franklin might have been onto something, that the national bird, the national animal, should have been a turkey. Because these people are all just a bunch of turkeys. There's nothing noble about them. They're not the graceful, majestic eagles that we are led to believe. They're a bunch of crap-filled birds pooping all over everyone and everything. And then, demanding you give them more.
Thank you, Anais Romero. Totally agree. Jeremy Beatty. Totally agree. Rodrigo Orozco. We do believe in overthrowing the system peacefully and legally. If that's what you meant, right on.
Yeah, there are two ways that we can change our system: the legal, peaceful route and the illegal, violent route. And we are for the legal and peaceful route of totally changing our government, for sure.
Yeah, like Bernie Sanders used to say, we're going to have a revolution. He meant, through voting.
A political revolution.
Yeah, through voting and maybe be a big change.
Yeah.
Voting, so.
I just can't help but notice that here it is, getting closer and closer to midterms, which are still, even after Roe v. Wade was overturned, still seeming like they are going to go red in favor of the red team, which seems like it's also in the favor of the blue team. Blue team wants us to just keep voting them in, just keep them in power, just keep their cushy little jobs with their fancy little cushions on their seats and, the nice little name tag placards on their desks and, the Secret Service agents to protect them. I'd like a fancy desk with a nice placard, decked out in 24 karat gold. People to, jump in front of a bullet if ever anyone was mad enough at me to try to do anything, totally. I would love that. I think a lot of people would like that, especially in all of the craziness nowadays. Now, earlier on, I pointed out how unusual it was for this elected official to release the emails between the president and their own governor. You know what else has been unusual? The Supreme Court acting the way it does. The memorandum, the draft
that never happens
from the Supreme Court.
That never happens.
Unusual.
Highly.
The Supreme Court looking, re-evaluating a decision that, sure, the justices that are on the Supreme Court now are not the same justices from 50 years ago. But Supreme Court justices usually, the Supreme Court, when it makes a decision on something, doesn't usually go and look at it again. They say, hey, we decided. Next case. That was unusual. You know what else was unusual? Biden's recent response, but my apologies, President Biden's recent response. We're going to protect abortion rights with this executive order. After the Supreme Court says this is what the law is, the president, the executive branch, going and trying to usurp authority from them, highly unusual. So, sure, it would be highly unusual if the Supreme Court were to say, hey, President Joseph R. Biden, we just made this decision. We have the authority. You don't. Your executive order is illegal.
They can do that. And even if he can get some executive orders to somehow get around their law, it's not going to be pushing back on the law. So he's going to be able to try to like maybe slow it down, stop parts of it from being implemented, but not actually stop it. That's all you can do. The other thing is women, I hope, really California women, as a Latino, I hope you don't fall for this. There was a thing called the Dreamers, and Obama did a presidential action for the Dreamers. And I remember walking around in 2010 telling, gente, fellow Latinos, like, don't fall for this. When you sign up for that, that means the federal government has your address. And they go, but Obama said it's cool. I go, yeah, and what happens when he's not in office? And people laugh in my face. Oh, you stupid idiot. Well, Trump was elected. And all of those people I warned were rounded up by Trump because they put their names in the system and they thought that a presidential executive action is the same thing as a law. And it's not. That stuff disappears into thin air the second Biden is gone. And it is pure chance that the next person will do it. So if you're going to rest upon presidential actions, I like to tell you on behalf of all Latinos, we got played. I told them, don't register for that thing. They go, but the Dreamers, they're Dreamers. And I go, and you're hoping that somebody after him isn't worse. Well, a lot of Dreamers got deported and harassed because they trusted the federal government and they believed that a presidential executive order is the same thing as a law. And they thought it was really funny when I warned them about that. And I tried to explain government to them. And it's just, you idiot, Obama said it's cool. And those people aren't in America anymore.
Executive, legislative, judicial. The three are supposed to work together. However, there is one that, pardon the phrase, but there is one that trumps them all. And that is the one consisting of people who cannot ever be removed. A president can be removed from office. Legislators can be removed from office. You know who can't? Supreme Court justices. Once they're on there for life, unless they decide to step down. The president can ask. There's a whole process where, sure, they could be impeached. They could face an inquiry. They could even be censured. And that's it.
We warned you. We told you, like, tyranny of the minority, the Constitution is broke, America's broke and can't be fixed because of the Constitution. Nobody wanted to hear that. This is what we meant. Like, the Constitution and the law basically says this. And I understand there's some people going, well, stack the court. But, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was against that. FDR destroyed the reputation of the Democratic Party for doing that. He was also laughed at by legal and historical scholars. So, I mean, maybe, but, good luck with that. The other thing is that when they stacked the court, so in the past, when they changed the number of Supreme Court justices, it would be like by one. Oh, we have 9 instead of 8, or 7 instead of 8, or something like that. FDR was the only one to go pack the court, which means you have to bring on like 3 to 5. So if you bring on one justice, that's going to do nothing. If you're going to pack the court, you're going to need to bring them on. That is not like anything America has done in 200 years.
would
So-
be completely
Yeah.
unusual.
Yeah, not historical precedent for that at all. The only time closed was FDR suggested it, and he was laughed at. And the Democratic Party lost a lot of elections after that, which you don't hear about, because it was viewed as stupid for him to have said that, and the American voters voted that way. You
It
only hear
also-
about
It hits me as very or anti-democratic. Not, Democratic Party, but democracy. Democratic due process. The way that this country is structured legally. This is antithetical to that. It goes against it.
Yeah, I just saying. I hear liberals go, "We'll just pack the court." Okay, well that's never happened before, and it was laughed at before, and RBG said it was wrong, and they've never done that before in the history of the court. And also, let's say you do, they'll pack it again, and then you'll pack it again, and then we'll have 50 people on the Supreme Court with rulings that go radically one way or the other. So these 4 years, Roe v. Wade is legal. Then the next 4, they're illegal. Then the next 4, they're legal. Then the next 4, they're illegal. And then the next, is that really better? I mean, you would get Roe v. Wade back, but for a few years, and then it would be crushed again, and you could have this yo-yo legal system. So I hear liberals talking about that, and I go, I hope you do it. Like, I hope you stack the court, and I hope you get rid of the filibuster, because this country will be passing radical law after radical law, offending half the country, and it will rip itself apart within days. So I hear liberals go, we don't need Cal Exit, we'll do the filibuster and stack the court. And I go, I hope you do, because Cal Exit will happen within about 6 months. You guys don't know what you're doing. You're going to allow total chaos and anarchy on a scale you can't even imagine. And liberals don't see it because they see, well, but we won. The battle is to win Roe v. Wade. Whatever it takes to win, we win. See, we won. Okay, yeah. And you created this problem that's going to blow up in your face next year. Nobody seems to care about that. It's win now, no matter what. Okay, well, it's like it's those battles in medieval times where the guy would go and he would fight another guy, and he would eventually kill the other guy, but he had been stabbed and chopped up so much that he died 5 minutes later. Was that really? Well, I beat him. Did you? I mean, you died 5 minutes later. Was that really a win? You didn't get to keep anything. You didn't get to go home. Nobody actually knew you win. I guess technically you could say it's a win in your heart. I view liberals doing the same thing as these medieval manhood challenges of win, crush, win now. Okay. And when you destabilize the whole platform that the house comes crashing down on itself, what then? And the answer that I'll hear is, I don't care, Roe v. Wade now. Well, I hope you do it. I hope you get rid of that filibuster. I hope you stack the court. I hope you do all the radical things you liberals want to do, because then Cal Exit will happen within 6 months. So you don't see this. You're not going to see it. I hope you do it. I'm not going to push it, because I think that's pushing for destabilization of America, which is something we have never wanted. We're not afraid if it happens, but it's not something we pushed. I think pushing for the filibuster and stacking the court adds to the destabilization of America. I won't be part of that. You're welcome to.
It also diminishes the perception of the strength of our democracy. The filibuster is literally, quite literally, the last roadblock, the last safety measure against extremism becoming legislation. That's why the filibuster was made. And there are people who are saying down with the filibuster, and they've been saying it for some years. And just imagine if it had been taken away before Trump got into office. I mean, projections show Biden will not beat Trump. Harris won't beat Trump. In fact, really, the only person who ever has been projected as would definitely beat Trump, and by more than just the contestable margin of error, right? Such a large victory, it cannot be contested, like Barack Obama's, right? the only person. Well,
And
he
you have
just
to do
said
that.
he is not going to because Joe Biden is going to, and therefore he refuses to enter the race because he doesn't want to undercut his president.
Yeah,
And now I'm one of those people who was a huge fan and supporter of Senator Sanders. But people, he's not gonna enter the race, and he's made that clear. So we are going to have Trump versus Biden, someone polling at 25% and someone polling at 50%. Who do you think's gonna win? Do you really want to take away that last safeguard right now? I personally would not want to see that because, you know, some people think that the United States has gone pretty backwards already, and it has in many ways. But can you imagine what it would be like?
I kind of have a different opinion on this. I'm kind of done with the whole California love affair of Bernie Sanders. I see a lot of people bring it up. I said day one, that guy's never going to be allowed near power. Lost 2016, lost 2020.
Even though he won California in the primaries.
Yeah, of course, great. Yeah. That was 100% right. They never let him near power. I mean, they literally rigged the election in Nevada and that other thing. So I mean, Californians have this love affair of Bernie. Oh, Bernie's going to get in. He's going to fix everything. The guy didn't get in twice. You think third time's a charm? And secondly, he sold you guys out. Why do you have faith to this man, California?
Well,
he
that's why I
sold
say
you
was.
out. Sold you out. Straight up sold you out to the Dems in 2016. And so many of you come racing back in 2020. I mean, whatever you guys want, my personal opinion is y'all look silly. Just saying. Time to get serious, and this is more serious than that. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, well, and you know, we'll go with a little hypothetical here. Say the Supreme Court gets packed and the filibuster is gone, and then midterms go red, and then Trump beats Biden because 50% is greater than 25%. Like always, unless you really suck at math. Well, in this hypothetical scenario, that leaves the control of the executive, legislative, and judicial, all three federal branches, in the hands of Team Red. Might as well be the hands of Team Blue, by the way Team Blue's operating. But hey, I'm disclaimer, I'm not part of Team Red or Team Blue.
Yeah,
So,
we're pro-California. So
Yeah.
I don't care if you're Republican, the Green Party, Bernie Sanders member, whatever. If you're pro-California, we just wanted to point out that these ideas that you can use the political system at the federal level to save California, protect your values, whether it's Sanders, whether it's the Democratic Party, it ain't ever going to happen.
and in this hypothetical scenario, in a Republican controlled, exclusive Republican controlled federal government, what do you think as a Californian? What do you think is going to happen to us? Not what do you think we're going to have happen? What do you think is going to happen to us?
Before you answer, remember January 6th happened and Roe v. Wade was overturned. Now answer.
So maybe getting rid of the last few safeguards you have, maybe it's not really the best move. Usually you don't throw away the two aces that you have in your hand when you're playing Texas Hold'em.
Like I said, I'm not going to work for it because I know what it means, but I'll be excited when it happens. And liberals are not thinking far enough to stop it. So if they pull that up, we'll be this thing will be ripped apart shortly. Hello,
Oh, Yosef.
Ghost. Okay, Last comments. I want to wrap it up. And
Well, again, Trump was just a different shade of Biden. Biden was the vice president under Barack Obama when the policy of putting children, one, separating children from their parents was started. Two, putting those children into cages. Oh, my apologies. They're not cages, they're kennels.
I thought we were done with this these days.
Right?
I remember being taught about this as a boy. I'm old enough that I saw a little bit as a boy. I thought these days were over, where they're treating Latin people like cattle. To see the Republican Party do it, and then the Democratic Party to do it right after them. I don't know how you can have much faith in America. Period, and especially if you're Latin. I don't see it.
And so, to all of California, and I say all of California, viva todos Californios. Sí, se puede.
That was all right. And we're out.